Incredible day. Hello, fans out there in broadcast land. This is Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dawg, and this is the Dawg Pound. Okay, today we got a really great show. I've got some of the foremost experts in the world on the subject. If I had to create a BDC from scratch, now, I know a lot of people out there are not running with a BDC. A lot of people are still having the salespeople handle it. But if you're running with a BDC or you want to run with a BDC, Business Development Center, I like to call it a Business Communication Center, but what the heck? A Business Development Center. I was around when business development centers were born, when Stuker and Traver were creating all of that. I mean, it was originally a phone room. Pre-internet, we're talking the early 90s. But then we have a BDC. Our guest panelist today, a woman I've seen all over the internet, a woman who is a featured speaker at the upcoming Digital Dealer Conference, my friend April Simmons from Horne Automotive. Hello, April.
Hi, Jim. Hi, Pound. How's everyone doing?
Tremendous day. Tremendous day. Do you have any expertise in BDC?
Just a teeny tiny bit. This is my 24th year in the business, and I've kind of done a little bit of everything. I started sales and the finance side, then went to the desk, then went to internet. So I kind of went a totally different route. But what ultimately happened was my general manager said, April, I keep hiring internet guys and they can't sell. You can sell. I need you to go learn the internet. And so that was really the first internet department that I built. And since then, I've built multiples from scratch. I've expanded and grown. And now I get to oversee 13 stores, internet departments, and helping build them and create them and make them greater and better and, adapt or die, as Max says right now. So right in the thick of it all. So
right in the thick of it all. Okay, and talking about being right in the thick of it all, I've often said that she was one of the most brilliant women in the car business. But you know what? That's sort of a sexist insult, because she is actually one of the most brilliant persons in the car business. And I recognize that, and I'll take a beating.
I'm proud of you.
I'm such a chauvinist.
You are not.
Okay, my friend Jennifer Briggs. Hello, Jennifer.
Hey, Jim. I thought it was because I was just like one of the guys, maybe, so we had to switch it over. But I'm very excited for the topic today, and I love the perspective that April is going to bring. And I think both Bobbie and I both didn't start traditionally what you would encounter in one of these internet or BDC departments, right? Mm-hmm. B was a GM before she took over her first internet department, and I was the comptroller. So it's like totally different perspectives to create profitability. I like to call them profit centers, not call centers.
Profit centers. Okay, and direct from where the heck are you today, Max?
This is my last broadcast from Spain.
Aww.
You're still in Spain.
Yeah, I'm coming back on Saturday.
Mainly on the plane.
Yeah, I'm coming back Saturday.
We're on Rhymes Day.
Okay, Max Zanan, the reinsurance expert guru and the king of F&I, or the prince of F&I. I'm the king, but what the heck?
Well, listen,
king of F&I products.
Unlike April, I am an expert in BDC. I'm just kidding.
Oh, he's hitting the contrarian right out of the gate. This
just right out of it.
But I am a proud graduate of Traver, almost 20 years ago.
Oh, me too.
Absolutely. You have PTSD, because I do. Stick to the card. Stick to the card. Stick to the card.
Right. I used to have a Traver box and a Stuker box. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
And the Queen of BDC. I mean, I have called this woman that for a long time. The absolute guru of the gurus, my friend Bobbie Herron. Hello, Bobbie.
Hi there. Happy International Women's Day today, or as I like to say,
is it really?
This Human Day? It is.
International Women's Day. Well, truthfully, I was celebrating that for years.
That's right. That's right. For those of you who don't know, he really does. I mean, look at the panel, and his wife is amazing. I'm trying to kidnap them regularly.
Oh, God, she got a new hairstyle. They love it, love it, love it. Okay, let's talk. Let's talk about starting a BDC from scratch. I mean, if you walk in, I'm going to give everybody a shot at this. So, first of all, I'll start with Bobbie, because I know you've done it quite a bit. You've done it for other companies that you didn't work for as a consultant. Tell me about when you walk into a dealership and the dealer says, hey, we're going to create a BDC from the ground up. What is the very first thing we do?
The very first thing that we do is find out what their intention is with the BDC, right? We need a realistic understanding, because it's not the same for everybody. Some dealers will say, I want a higher closing ratio. And that's not what a BDC does. A BDC takes opportunities, they take leads, and they turn them into opportunities to create conversations and in-person opportunities to close more car deals. But in some stores, a BDC does close deals. So the first thing is finding out what the intention is of the dealership that you're starting to work with, followed immediately by the people, the process, and the technology in the store, because what works for one will not work for the other.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is find out the dealer's intention.
Yes.
Now, right now, the dealer's intention is not going to be sales. It's probably going to be fixed operations and recruiting techs and
you'd be surprised.
Really? I mean,
yeah, you'd be surprised. Yeah. It's always interesting to me because people say, Bobbie, you love a BDC. The truth is, I love to teach people to communicate with customers in a way that helps them trust us and want to give us an opportunity to sell them a vehicle, or as I say, put a dream in their driveway, right? And that's different in different dealerships, and it's different even now. People say, we have thousands of leads coming in and nothing is happening with them. But you take one glance through what they're doing and you think, would you talk to yourself? Right. And that's where we start, is what are you using? How are you doing it? How do you communicate with the people that are already on your team? And if you don't have a BDC, is a BDC even the right fit for you? Because it might not be. You might need a hybrid or none at all.
Well, let's not do the whole course right now. Let's go to April a second. April, you just walked in a dealership. You don't know anybody. The dealer says, make me a BDC. What do you do?
Well, like Bobbie said, the first thing is to find out what route are you going? Are you going with what we all consider the traditional BDC, which is, they're just answering the phone or answering the leads? Are they answering sales? Are they answering service? We actually operate with a traditional internet manager process for all of our stores. So we use actually Traver in a couple of our stores and fixed ops, and we have a BDC for fixed ops in a couple of our stores. But we operate that very differently than we do for our sales department. So our sales department, for us, it was easier to find and to staff true internet managers and groom people into those roles than it was to try to build what you guys may consider a traditional BDC. So then we got to put the math to it. So the first thing is, okay, did you decide which route you're going to go? But then you got to figure out how many people do you need? How many opportunities do you need? I mean, the first part is all math in your goals. You gotta figure out what is the math to get you to where you want to be. Then you can start putting in a game plan for that. But another thing that
okay, now you're going beyond the question. You're going into the second question. Now,
oh man,
you know us strong women, we just cannot not do it. Good job, girl.
Okay, Jennifer, you just walked in a dealership, and I understand. A bird told me that you just started building a brand new BDC this week.
Actually, the gal you just popped the comment up is who I was training today in a brand new installation of a non-traditional BDC. We could talk about that a little bit later in the show, but I start with the numbers because I find a lot of dealers actually don't know why or what they want that department to do. They just know they're struggling and their sales teams aren't performing in the way that they want to do. So they know they need help. So I actually start with the numbers and we take a look at website traffic, leads, call volumes, usage in the CRM, and their sales performance. And I'm actually looking at this, comparing it to inventory volumes and days to market and their acquisition strategies, because I can't help you sell any cars if you don't got any cars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially if you have to do built to order, which even limits your inventory more, even when things return back to normal. Max,
Yeah.
do you have any input at this point?
So I think the biggest problem is that majority of dealer principals and GMs, came up through sales. And when you talk to them about BDC, they think of BDC as answering phone, making appointments, trying to sell cars. It's never about fixed ops. It's never about F&I. It's never about anything except for sales. And in this environment, right, like Jennifer said, do you really need a BDC if you got no cars to sell? So you first have to redefine BDC and understand that business development center has to develop all of your business, not just the sales department's business, right? And number two is that BDC can make any business super exciting. And I'll give you the best example I can come up with. I think we can all agree that selling shoes is probably the most boring thing you can do.
I don't know if I would agree with that.
I love shoes.
But you're talking about buying shoes. I'm talking about selling shoes.
No,
right?
I've done it. I've done it. When I was 16 years old, I worked for Butler's Shoe Store.
So
was it the most boring, Jim? Was it the most boring job you've ever had?
It was a terrible job.
Right. You can't get excited about it. But if you look at Zappos, right, their BDC, which is basically their customer service that answers the phone, is what put $1 billion valuation on that company. The people that worked in their customer service department were willing to go not just an extra mile. I mean, they were willing to do anything for their customers, right? And now, right, everybody knows Zappos. And listen, all they do is sell shoes that you can get anywhere else, guys. And the prices are not better, right? Nothing is different. But their
customer service,
their
killer.
BDC department is a killer. And if dealers read the book, it's called Delivering Happiness. It was written by the CEO of Zappos, right? They would understand that a properly run BDC department can do miracles in a dealership.
And why not salespeople? I'm going to go to Jennifer first on that question. Well, why do we not have salespeople answering the phones and
well,
doing
to be
the
honest with
leads
you, Jim, it's because we as leaders, for some reason, have a hard time holding our salespeople accountable. Let's be perfectly honest, because they are capable with the right type of guidance and leadership and the proper process and training put in place. But sometimes our managers are not equipped to do that. So it is a lot easier to manage a team of appointment setters versus, and kind of I sometimes think about it like, the front line and the back line, right? It's easier to keep the back line in order if I'm not a strong manager. 100% honesty here, right? I don't even think that that salespeople are lazy, because if your salespeople are lazy, that's your problem, not theirs.
Well, the BDC, you pay them a minimum wage and free pizza.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you what, this young lady, the young lady I started training today. And she is going to be a vehicle acquisition specialist.
And she
is not setting appointments on the internet. She is acquiring inventory so we can close more deals. And her pay plan has her projected, based off of the current opportunities we have, to be hitting somewhere between $5,000 and $9,000 a month.
I
Doing
think
what?
so.
I'll take that job. I'll take that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Brian Horne. Anybody know this man?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Brian, I'm finding most BDC is going hybrid and non-traditional, focusing on fixed ops and customer satisfaction with no cars to sell. And he's a dealer principal, I believe. With no cars to sell, our profitability is based on surveys and fixed operations. The few cars we have sell themselves anyway. Pretty good observation. I don't see a question there. It's an observation, and I think it's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Jump in on that.
I think what Brian is saying, and I think this is not just an inventory shortage situation, because I've said this the whole time. A business development center is supposed to be developing incremental business for your store, not just handling inbound like a triage or the Dutch boy with his finger in the dam on internet and phone ups. And it was great. And I will tell you what, I broke out this morning my old school Jerry Linsky phone script when I was training.
No.
Oh, yes, I did today, because it's powerful for acquiring inventory. When I started, and we were talking about Traver training, but the group I worked for, I mean, we had Traver training, but we also hired Jerry Linsky. Some of you may remember him. And he trained us to call out of the phone book back when that was legal. Like, we were calling out of the phone book, everyone on the floor, setting 50 appointments a day out of like 15, 17 people on average out of a phone book.
I didn't know anybody else remembered Jerry Linsky.
Oh, yeah. We had him up at McDonald's.
Oh, my God.
McDonald's Auto Group in Saginaw, Michigan. We had him come out.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep, we did Bob King too. Do you remember the old school printers? I remember the first time we started doing this, and it was in a Ford store. We had these old school service printers. We didn't have a CRM or a database online. We printed everything from service on the old printers, and everybody called through line by line by line to see how a service experience went. And that was how we turned that into incremental business, was starting with service. It's always amazing to me now. It's so much easier. It's so much easier to really granularly have a good database at your fingertips. And we act like it's really difficult. And the truth is, and there's no shame in this. So for the dealers listening or the sales managers listening, I'm not chastising you. I just want you to be honest with yourself and say, the skill set that you have developed with your salespeople, you have or you haven't, it's not always the same as what it's going to look like for a BDC. The biggest difference is the rejection and the repetitiveness that you face daily sitting behind a computer screen. That's not often the same person. But if you start with communication and you teach people how to actually listen and not to reply, you'll be amazed how easy it is to build trust with a customer. Unless you teach them to do that and then you do the opposite when they come in for an appointment at the desk, in which case your closing ratio will drop.
Yeah.
You have to be one team working in one direction and balancing each other. Sales meetings, all that stuff, they have to go hand in hand. If they don't, you're two separate teams and it causes a problem every single time.
April, what is the second thing that I'm going back to the core subject of this broadcast? What is the second thing? I'm loving all the comments I'm getting, but what is the second
necessary?
Well, the second
we came in. What is the deal we want to achieve?
Well, the first thing is that dealers are really easy, right? They just want to make more money. I mean, that's the end of the day. Is it's very, very simple. They just don't know how to get from here to there, and unfortunately, they usually listen to the wrong people. Typically, listening to vendors or OEMs or different people like this who are telling them how to do things, and they're not in the real world. They're not living in the real world. And I usually kind of go the opposite. Again, I don't really do a traditional BDC even. We kind of have internet managers that we train up. And people ask me all the time what my secret sauce is. How do you just go in and month one explode? And it's really very simple to me. I take what I learned on the retail floor, which was meet and greet, sell yourself, sell the dealership, build rapport.
Select the vehicle, present the vehicle, demonstrate the vehicle, TO to finance with a quality turnover, write up and negotiate the deal, deliver the car the way the factory wants the car delivered, or road to the sale.
Right. Okay. You might have done this before. Guess what? You can do all those things here and here.
You can do them on the keyboard. You can do them on the telephone.
And you got a lot more info than an honor roll bumper sticker. Let me tell you what.
Bingo.
I gotta ask April one question. How many stores are you managing the BDCs? How many?
13. I have
13
that I am what I call elbows deep in, where I'm physically in those stores every week. I build all of the processes in our CRM. I deal with all the vendors. I deal with, all sorts of things. The finance department.
You build the processes in our CRM. You and Jennifer are going to be great friends. Let me ask the question I'm leading to. The question I'm leading to: are they all the same type of BDC doing the same type of business? Are these BDCs all the same? Could you walk into one and it's the same as the other one? Tell me
No,
what you're
in
doing.
fact, I have two stores that actually share virtually a parking lot, and they're completely different. And that's where I really fair warn dealers out there that, you know, they subscribe to things and they don't go get in the real world and actually see how things work. Perfect example to that is digital retailing, right? Like that's the buzzword of the year. But we look at it from a dashboard, right? They come in and they show you how it works on their dashboard, and those are awesome, wonderful. Your team doesn't use those dashboards ever, never, ever, ever. Are they going to use?
They don't?
No, they use their CRM, right? The
Oh.
one and only tool that they're going to utilize is the CRM. And in most cases, it's a train wreck of messiness in CRMs right now.
In most, she's being graceful.
She's being very graceful. Gracious.
There's a reason we all redesign CRMs, people, because you need to.
Okay, I wanted to jump in with a question, and Bobbie, you can help with this. Pam McDaniel Baldus just came in. I put her on the screen.
Hi, Pam.
Our sales staff handles all the leads that come in. Now, in the old days, when it was phone rooms and minor BDC, I had a saying: I can't beat salespeople hard enough to stay on the phone and stay on the keyboard. You know, you can't be. You know, they wanted to be on the point. They wanted to be doing whatever they do. I went in a dealership this week, and I watched all the salespeople. I walked all around the showroom. Nobody even recognized me. They were too busy playing computer games on their handhelds and whatever else they were doing. I mean,
Where were the sales managers?
I tried to. I walked by his enclosed office with a big glass so you could see the showroom floor. I deliberately walked by and, you know, wearing the Alpha Dawg hat, for heaven's sake. Not one person recognized me in this dealership. And
okay. So Jim, I got to jump on that because most GMs or sales managers, as Jennifer just pointed out, if they saw that, they freak out, right? There's somebody on the showroom, nobody's helping. Get out there, get out there, get out there. Yet when somebody emails your BDC or internet department or text messages them, it's perfectly appropriate to go hours without responding. And that is something that if we're not going to let that kind of behavior happen, and we're talking about BDC, it's the example I use all the time with general managers. Stop not making them react in the way you would expect.
okay, well, Pam says her sales staff handles the leads. I want everybody to go
That's
around.
an evolution for Pam. So
It is.
just so full transparency, Pam and I worked together at Feldman in Detroit. Pam actually was our old newspaper rep. And when newspaper circulation went down, we stole her. And so she had a traditional appointment setting department, but they made a shift. I think it was a year ago, right, Pam? You can tell us if that's correct, to where instead of her managing a team of appointment setters, they have designated sales people to handle it. And she manages them just like she would an appointment setter. So the key difference is here, we've not promoted up a great 30-car salesperson who doesn't know how to manage people. We've taken a department manager that knows how to run a business development center and put her in charge of the salespeople and made them accountable to her or him, whoever. We've got some really great.
Well, on the other hand, Emma Caldwell says we transferred to sales handling all the leads 6 months ago. They started having sales to handle the leads. It was not working in their store, so they are now hiring a team and converting back to BDC.
So I want to really be clear with this with people. Hi, Emma. I want to really be clear with this with people. A BDC does not work in every store. Neither does a hybrid and neither does a non. And we have people that you go to 20 groups, you go to conferences, you go to places and you go, oh, but they're doing it. It works great. And here's the truth of the matter. If your management team is incapable or unwilling to themselves learn how to train and hold accountable with a different standard of KPI, the team that is in place, it will not work. The same
Explain KPI
to build a BDC and you do not.
Bobbie, explain KPI. People, we have a
sure.
lot of
That's the metric in which you hold your team accountable. Your KPI is the metric that you use as a standard. So there's 100 different ones that you can use.
The key performance indicator.
Right. It starts with how many opportunities do I have? And then for me, where I'm a little different than like the OEMs that come out and say, oh, hey, you should be an 18% closing ratio. I say, what is the bucket of people you never were able to connect with versus the bucket of people that you made a connection with? And from there, we determine what your success ratio is, what training you need, and how you're going to come down from there. If you connect with somebody, did they set an appointment? Did they not? Did they show up? Did they not? When they showed up, what occurred? The bucket of people that you didn't connect with, and it's more than 60% in most stores, some are 70, some are 80 in some stores, is a lot of missed opportunity. And there's a huge opportunity right there to make a difference in your store. That's where I start.
Oh, Tiffany, that's because nobody configured your CRM.
100%. I'm a huge fan of both Drive and Vin. But if you are on Vin right now and you need help, let one of us know. We all customize CRMs. That's not a sales thing. That's how we can give you some granular advice that's basic that will change the way you feel about that. But they are
sometimes it's like 3 check boxes and it'll be way better.
Yeah.
Okay, I was tasked and started a BDC at our group 3 years ago. We now work 6 stores, and performance-wise, we do great. This is Dustin Smith.
Okay, that's a great question.
Oh,
this gets Jennifer, pick up the third thing. What's the third thing? Now we're building a BDC from scratch, and we're getting a little diverted with the questions. But what is? Let's build a BDC. Let's tell the audience how we're going to build a BDC.
So we've talked about, right, identifying the goals or the numbers where we're starting from, and then setting those goals based off of that. The next thing is to establish the process. Key right off of Tiffany's comment, you cannot institute a new department without new processes, and that takes customization of your systems. And one of the things that I loved that Bobbie did with her team at Garber, and I think that there are some CRM companies that have stolen this shtick from her, the give it a name thing, because it creates a personal connection to the CRM. I tell people, listen, we are going to retrain your sales assistant. And they're like, wait, when did I get a sales assistant?
Yep.
A CRM properly configured is a sales assistant. But right now, straight out of the box, those software designers don't sell cars. They don't know how it's supposed to work. You have to customize that to support your sales strategy. So the third thing is establishing processes to help you achieve your goal.
Do you know, Jim, one of the people often don't know this, and I'm going to say this because I can't stress it hard enough. Your CRM comes configured by a team of people who sell and design software, not who work at a dealership, not who know your process, who know your KPIs or what to do and what it should be.
Let me translate that, geeks.
See, right. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all have a place in something. But I can tell you that in my company, 90% of our business isn't building the BDC. It's fixing CRMs so that they match the process internally in the store to start, and then on that.
Whoa. Let me jump in a second. When I went into Motorworks in Barrington, Illinois, Motorworks is one of the most, if not the most successful Highline dealership in the world. Mm-hmm. They're selling 500 units a month with multiple brands. The showroom looks like a football field.
Wait, now I'm going to go add mine up because I think I got more than 500 in my Highline stores.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, let me tell you the story. So I go in to Motorworks, and the owner called me, and I was in that store a lot. I brought in my own general manager. I flew a general manager in to be the general manager of the whole complex. A guy that I knew from Denver that I had trained up from a salesperson named CJ Romig. So I brought CJ all the way from Denver to.
I didn't know that.
Barrington. Yeah, I brought CJ in to run that store. So I got with the dealer, and the store was already doing $4,500 a unit, 500 plus units, Mercedes, whatever, all the big brand names. So how am I going to improve a dealership that is already the best? So I go in there, and the first thing I did was I said to this, and this is going to go back to April. I said, what is your process? Well, we try to get them to drive the cars, and I said, you don't have a process. You got an ethereal idea of how you sell cars. And you got a whole bunch of entrepreneurs doing their own thing. So first thing we did is all 12 franchises or whatever they had in that same building. We got all the managers of those franchises in. Every one of them had its own sales manager, general sales manager, every one of them. Brought them all in. We're going to standardize your process. But the second thing, here goes back to what Bobbie just said. the CRM is the heartbeat of the dealership. I went to the BDC manager and I talked to her. I said, well, and I got a good picture of what's happening. They had a proprietary CRM. A Mercedes had supplied them. I don't know what the brand was, but I said, well, first of all, who's using the CRM? Well, old Joe won't use the CRM. Old Joe's not capable with the keyboard. Well, old Joe can't stay here. And I had the authority to say that. Old Joe can't stay here. He can't use the CRM. He can't stay here. But the second thing I did was I got with the BDC and the internet manager, what is in the CRM that we are not using? What is programmed into the CRM that nobody uses?
Mm-hmm.
And we got the CRM people and the people that own the franchise of the CRM.
Yeah.
We want to take out everything we're not using. Anything in the CRM that we leave will be used 100%. And we improved that dealership nearly $1 million a year. That was already a super.
You made them more efficient and you cut out the clutter. There's so much clutter that stops them from producing.
Here's the problem with it is that a CRM is not a virtual assistant to anybody if it is not programmed to be. Instead, it's a piece of technology that's expensive and is wasted. And the reason that you can't get people on the floor to use the CRM appropriately is because you have not showed them how it either makes or loses them money. Instead, you said, click the button because I had to. You have to. Yeah. And that's where it goes. We literally reconstruct CRMs, come in and train teams on how to properly use them. And every single time I do it and I leave, they go, how'd you get them to do it? Because I didn't say push the button because you have to. I said push this button because it makes or loses you money this way. Reduce the tax code that you have by doing this. But it's not an on or off. It has to be progressively done because in the mix of it, you're improving processes and establishing KPIs and establishing how leaders can hold their teams accountable using that data. But if you're not bought in from the head, it's not going to work at the feet. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
And if you really want to build a BDC that's strong and has a result, not only do you need to know what the intention is and what the people and process are, but you have to revamp the technology. And I just want to throw out a caution as I say this, okay? There are a whole bunch of people out there that are like, I'm a CRM consultant. Bullshit. I'm the OG on that. I established that product before anybody else did. I have the trademark to prove it. And I tell you that. Here's why I tell you that. I tell you that, like, I own a company called Badass BDC. Do you ever hear me talk about it? No, because what happened is people went out there and they went, we're going to cleanse your CRM, my product. We're going to refresh your CRM, my product. And then they're in there jacking shit up so bad, I got to come in and fix it. So I caution you, as you guys talk to people, if a consultant comes into you for your CRM and they say, this is the process, don't hire them because it's supposed to match yours with improvements. And if it doesn't, it's just a moneymaker. And that's all it is.
And then the other thing, once you have the process, nobody tampers with the process. Let me talk about that a second.
Yeah.
You like that? I was in a dealership in North Carolina, and a sales manager came in from another dealership. And when I consult a dealership, I will not consult a dealership unless I have complete authority from the dealer on down. I can make decisions. When I was working with the Bozarth Corporation, I could requisition checks and fire employees. I mean, I have authority when I go in a dealership. So this manager comes in and he said, let me show you how we pencil deals here. I said, man, that is absolutely fantastic. He said, that's the way we did it at where I came from. I said, well, show me some more. And he showed me, I said, that is absolutely incredible. Show me some more. He said, I thought you'd like it, Mr. Ziegler. I said, yeah, now you realize we're not going to do any of that here. He said, what? He said, you said it was wonderful. I said, yeah, but we have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars paying me to put a process in here. We're not going to change the process because see, that's what happens when a whole bunch of new managers come in and new people come in. They change the old process and the people remain confused. They never get the process rules.
Well, and
if we did what that sales manager told me, I said, we might go to that pencil, but we will gradually introduce it. We will train it. I'm going to discuss it with the dealer, but we're not just going to come in and bomb that process in.
Well,
no, BDC, nobody changes the process. Go, Jennifer.
And if there are any CRM employees watching today, I would like to strongly encourage you, when you get a call from that new sales manager asking you to delete steps, to move things, to move them around, please clear it with the general manager or the directors of operations before you cost that dealership a whole lot of car deals. Because
that's my next question. First of all, I had two questions I wanted to ask the entire staff. And Max, you can jump in anytime you have a mind to here. But the question I want to ask the staff here, the people on the broadcast. Number one, where do we get our people? What quality of people do we look for? Who is the BDC operators, the head of the BDC? Who is the internet manager? Who is the BDC manager? I want to get into that. And I also want to get into how much authority does the BDC have? See, if I have BDC,
let me jump in here.
If I have a BDC, you can talk in a minute. If I have a BDC and I'm a general manager, I'm a dealer. I have always said, I have this in writing as far back as I can remember. My BDC would have the power to make deals, and the sales manager could not overrule their decision.
Do you want your BDC to be a sales department, an individual department, or do you want them to be a part of a team? That's the difference there. Some of the best BDC managers that I've ever known were sales managers prior, marketing directors that were also GSMs. I wouldn't hire a GSM today unless they had been a BDC director.
Absolutely.
Really? Okay, jump in there, April. April, jump in here.
We don't have any of our GMs at this point if they have not been one of our internet directors and they've been taught the background of the process, learned what it's like to pull people in, how to hire people and train them in the department. They can't be a general manager today. They just can't.
No.
They don't understand where 70% of their business is coming from. Then they can't build upon it. All they do is, keep saying yes to some new software solution, but has no idea how it actually works or how it's going to make them business, or actually most of the time cost them business, because they get into the CRM, they start breaking stuff, and they don't understand it. So to answer your other part of your question, though, as far as hiring people goes, I always hire for effort and attitude. Most of my stores and my old school GMs still believe that going to the internet is a promotion and only the guys on the floor should be moved into that role. I don't. Some of my best hires have come off the street. My very best hire ever was a traveling sales guy. And this was a kid who had no car experience. I brought him in and he worked harder than anyone else and was not only the top salesman his second month, but has been salesman of the year after year after year. So I think you have to just find the person who's willing to put the effort and attitude in and be trainable, be moldable, and take a chance. Everything we do is trial and error. And I think that that's the hardest part of our job, is that we get too pot committed to one thing, one solution, one idea. If you're willing to put the onboarding in, the training, and try something, understand that you may have to scrap that next month and try again. Or something new may change, whether it's COVID or inventory or whatever's happening, what the wind blew south today. We have to be changeable on the daily and be willing to say, I thought that was the best idea ever, and now I think it's the worst idea ever. And just go with it.
You got to change daily. I want to just real quick acknowledge Dustin Schmidt just replied to a comment by Emma Caldwell. So if anybody gets a chance to look at this because it's longer, I want to stress how important what he just said was. You cannot scrap your entire process and then you have to build above or you will create a train wreck. Good advice, Dustin.
Right.
And also I want to real quick say, when we say like a GM or a GSM should have this level of experience now, I'm not saying that the GMs that are in place right now, like out with the old, some of my favorite people to work with are the GMs who are old school and raising their hand and going, I want to learn. Right. And then you train these people and I will get out of your way and I'll do what I'm good at. You do what you're good at and we'll work together as a team. So I don't want anybody to think that, but as we're going forward, no, I'm on here talking as an expert in BDC, and I have been a GM for a long time and an operations director of two massive groups. So when I say this, it's not opinion, it's experience to tell you that if everybody has this level of experience and or is willing to work together on it, you will create a dynamic team. If you have a manager in your BDC who is a sales manager and knows how to work deals, and you empower them to actually work deals, you will find that your BDC is no longer just about presenting opportunity. And now it becomes about having the option to do sales as well. It's a completely different dynamic, and not everybody's ready for it. That's okay. There's different levels to this.
And I used to use my internet department as a training ground. And it was funny because
100%.
everybody would always say to me, well, you're sending your best people out to the sales floor, Jennifer. That's not very smart. I said, oh, you mean I'm planting people that understand how to run their own business, prospect, use the CRM, communicate with our customers to develop more unit sales, whether it is finance products or declined work or cars. And they're going to now be sprinkled out through all of our dealerships. How is that bad for me?
It's crazy to be. I come into train stores, and literally every time before I tell the sales managers and the GMs, your entire variable staff, including your managers, are required to attend. They go, but you're training BDC. But why would you bring in an expensive option and a strong investment to train just part of your team? Absolutely
and
not.
They have no idea how to hold them accountable.
They'll be untrained when I leave. Everybody attends. Everybody.
When I have authority, I demand that the managers that we promote came through the F&I department. Now you're telling me that the managers we promote come through F&I and BDC?
Both.
Both? Okay, April, jump in.
Yep, absolutely both, because those are the people who understand all sides. In fact, I wish we all had to at least take a small amount of time even in fixed ops at this point, because what most of our GMs are great GMs now are either the old dog who's at least willing to say, April, thank you. I bless you every day for helping me with this part that I can't do. But the fixed ops side is really hard for GMs because they all come from the sales side. So it started that it was just the best salesman became the GM. Then it was, no, we want you to have finance background. Now it's like, that helps, but now we also want you to have BDC or internet background. But the one piece we still don't require is the fixed ops side. And, if we just even had them take crash courses or learn even a little bit before they started in that role, they would be unstoppable. You'd have an absolute annihilating job.
I am teaching a class on how to be a general manager at Northwood University. And I teach a class every Wednesday virtually. I've got 30 students in the room, and my guest speakers, my guest instructors, my guest professors next week are none other than Jennifer Briggs and Bill Demery, the fixed ops director of the Tom Wood Group. So I'm introducing that to the class on how to be a general manager.
Yeah.
I feel it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah,
it's so important. And I hope that some of these, and I don't want to say kids like kids, right? But some of these people coming up in the business, we want so badly, and I'll say we because I have been there. We want so badly to take that title, to take that job, to take on all that responsibility, to get paid just a little bit more than we were making just to be responsible for ourselves. And you have to be willing to say, I'm not ready yet. Because me jumping too fast in the beginning meant learning the hard way instead of learning the smart way. And it took a long time to unwind some of the bad habits that were trained. Given the option to promote, first ask for what you need. If you have not gone through BDC training and you've not sat in there, you will do yourself a disservice, I promise you, because you will not be able to train and hold accountable the people in your store. You will need to hire somebody outside, either an outsourced BDC, somebody like me or Jennifer that comes in, somebody like April that's going to oversee everything. And it changes your investment, and it mostly changes the timeline for your success. It truly, truly does.
I just wrote an article.
Let me jump in here for a second, please.
Oh, jump in, Mom. It's Max. Come on, Max.
Come on.
Yeah,
Why you start asking permission? What's going on here?
Yeah, I'm just being polite, But, so I think we need to take a step back, right? And again, everybody here represents a progressive view, right? And I want to make it clear, this is not reality in 90% of
No, we're talking about how you start if you're not progressive, Max. It is reality. These are the steps you need to take if you want to be like us.
Right. All right. Thank you for the help. So the first step.
Once upon a time, I didn't know how to do this either. So
Right.
this is reality.
Right. Thanks again. So the first step is why don't you whip out a piece of paper, right, and draw an organizational chart, right, and understand where BDC fits into your organizational chart, because in most dealerships, right, the BDC falls under the sales department, under the service department. It's slightly above porters.
Which is crazy.
Right?
100%. Somebody's hands is wrapping presents.
So unless you empower your BDC department and your BDC manager, I don't care what process.
I already said I'd do that.
I know, but Jim, most people don't do that.
It's true.
Right? If you go to any dealership right now,
Step one. Yeah.
right, but you have to understand, if you go to any dealership right now, majority of BDC managers have zero authority. They will be overridden. Right. They will be overridden, not by a GSM, not by a sales manager. They'll be overridden by a salesperson. They'll be overridden by a service advisor.
You're not wrong.
Right. So that's step number one. And that's me speaking to dealer principals, right? They need to find a place in this organizational chart for the BDC department. And the second point I want to make is that in my mind now, right, the entire dealership has to be part of the BDC department, right?
Yeah,
it's not that we have special people working in BDC, right? But in reality, especially during COVID, right, you had to work deals remotely. And how would you do that without an F&I in your BDC department? Right? So F&I is not excused from the BDC department.
Right.
Right? F&I is not excused for two reasons. First is making deals. And second is the follow-up with the customers that said no to F&I products. Right? And again, I guarantee you that 99% of car dealers have zero F&I post-sale follow-up conducted in their BDC or by their F&I department.
Or in the service lane.
Correct.
If you want to know how.
Right.
Just the girls in the back. Oh boy, look at this.
Oh, Tiffany. Ooh, that's a trigger phrase for me.
Tiffany's right, because here's the thing. And if nothing else sinks in with somebody who's listening and thinking about BDC or how you should staff it, you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in advertising. Think about like the national average per car through NADA. You are spending at a minimum, a small store truly spends $100,000 in advertising. And you're going, not my mindset. Who should I hand all that opportunity to? Oh, the girls in the back, the ones who run and grab lunch and grab presents. You know what? We're going to give them to them because the salespeople will really do the job. Like just
minimum wage and free pizza.
Just let it sink in, right? But at the same time, I think it's also important to note that there are a lot of dealers out there that are doing it right.
They're
doing
a lot more than Max
asking for help. They're asking for help. They're saying, I want to be better. They're attending training. They're calling people like us. And
Bobbie, let me ask you, we put the BDC in the loft over the parts department. Is that how this works?
That's where my office was in the very beginning, back in 2002, man.
I mean, can I just say, we build these beautiful grand showrooms for the salespeople to sit in and customers walk in, and then we put a BDC who sits in front of a blue light screen all day.
How do you get to the BDC? You go upstairs by the parts department.
It's crazy to me. You know, to be honest, like the BDC needs half the showroom to be theirs, obviously isolated for customer interaction, but more so than everybody needs to be sitting around the showroom doing nothing. And I'm shocked by the fact that OEMs still haven't came in and mandated at least that portion. Not that I want them to, but you have people working in a dark room with no windows, not good phone systems, not good microphones. And you're like, here's
not good internet free, not bandwidth. I mean, the viewers don't buy the bandwidth.
It blows my mind all the time. And like we talk about, where do you recruit good people? Hundreds of places. I'll tell you my favorite place to recruit people for a BDC from. It's places like makeup counters at Macy's and Nordstrom. It's the little kiosks in the middle of the mall where they sell those stupid ass little curling irons that nobody wants. You know why? They work terrible hours right now. They're based on commission only. They're taught customer service and communication, and they never stop persisting. Have you ever tried to walk past a makeup counter as a man walking past? Like, have you just even tried it? Because it's like, whoa, like ninjas. They already have all the worst parts of what we fear, and they kill it.
It's like the convention center at NADA when you're a dealer.
NADA convention, dealers are up.
Yeah. Well, that's a great point, because as we've talked about putting together your strategy, right? What are the goals? What are the metrics? Then we've talked about processes. Now we're talking about people and where you find the right people for that. And Bobbie's right. I think, and I hope she's watching here somewhere, but she's probably not, because she's probably delivering 3 cars today. One of my most phenomenal internet sales reps, cradle to grave, was a Mary Kay rep driving a pink Cadillac.
Let me tell you,
a phenomenal salesperson.
One of the dealerships I was working at with out west, I got the privilege of hiring BDC reps. And you know who I hired? Airlines reservations agents. People that, and I actually put that in the ad, airline reservations preferred, because the airline, they just had a big major layoff.
Oh, yeah.
These people are generally, as a profile, middle-aged women. Your mom, my mom. They're used to working long hours, and they're used to phone skills, difficult customers. I mean, they've been trained. The airlines reservations agents were some of the best people we ever hired for BDC.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, that happened in Michigan. In 2011,
stop posting the same BDC rep ad everybody else does. Put the personality into it.
So
is phenomenal. And Jenna's on here commenting too, who's also phenomenal. Like, quit copying and pasting these ads. Build the persona of the person.
Look at the screen. Look at the screen. Joel Casser, Joel.
Yeah.
Look what he said. Stop cutting and pasting the same ads everybody else uses.
Absolutely right. Matt Raymond will tell you the same thing.
Joel's brilliant. He should have been on the show today.
Think about your community, though, because here's one thing I think everybody forgets, and why things have to be different. Not only is every dealership different, every community is different. And the airline reservation story that you just told, Jim, back in 2011 in Michigan, they had massive teacher layoffs. They laid off like 35% of all of the teachers in the state. And that's who I went after in my recruiting campaign. They're used to dealing with children.
Well, we got 9 minutes left. 9 minutes left. 9 minutes left. And what I want to
Joel, you've already bought me.
I just wrote an article for Digital Dealer Magazine that I just submitted the other day. And one part of the article, I was talking about redundant vendors. We've got. I walk in a dealership, and the sales manager's got 5 screens. The sales manager looking at, because he's got 5 different vendors that it takes to work a deal. So I'm telling people in the article, shop new vendors and start consolidating the vendors.
So since everybody watches this show, I'm going to specifically make a request of Cox Automotive, because this is an issue we have on our desks right now. We have Dealer Track DMS, Vin Solutions CRM for desking, and X-Time for our appointments and our service.
Why is that not consolidated?
So here's the thing. Open ROs on my internals, everything lives in X-Time. It doesn't report and push back into VIN, only a parts cost. So every single one of my desk managers also has to have an X-Time login, so they can actually see what we have open when they're penciling a deal. That is freaking stupid. Cox, please fix that. Thank you.
Joe Casser said he would be on the show, but he's too busy shopping for an engagement ring for Bobbie.
That's not true, because he didn't call me, so we know it's
Joel is great. He's a great friend of mine, and I appreciate him. And Jenna is amazing.
Funny. That is so funny.
I would throw out there real quick, since Jennifer just mentioned X-Time, I'm going to throw you guys a pro tip if you're a VIN dealer, because I guarantee you've experienced this or are right now. If you use X-Time and Vin Solutions right now, and you're coming into thousands of ROs every day that look like service leads or sales leads, and you're like, it does that. No, it doesn't. That's because your X-Time is set up on your service drive to push into your CRM every time they put a person in as an appointment. It's one phone call. Call and ask for it to stop. Only true appointments that are trying to be set on your site should be coming in. One phone call, it'll fix it. You're welcome.
Fantastic.
That makes it crazy.
As we wind down the show, down to the last couple minutes, what have we not covered? April Simmons from Horne Automotive. What have we not covered?
About 80% of it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Just scratching the surface here, folks.
yeah,
Should we
completely.
do this? Should we do this show again?
Yes.
Yeah, you probably. Yeah, absolutely. You probably
The
need
audience,
a
the
whole.
audience is interesting. April, you're speaking in a panel group, or you're speaking at two different groups at Digital Dealer. What are you speaking about?
The first one is speaking about pivoting. So the adapter die as the shirt there says, right? How do we pivot today? How quickly do we need to pivot? I actually go against the grain in most of these things. I kind of am the one that's like, okay, yes, pivot, but don't throw the rule out to go after the exception. I still want my 90%, and then I'll start working on this 10% situation. So I probably will be the opposite speaker in some of that stuff.
Who's on that panel with you?
So the boys from Dealer Teamwork and a couple other.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah, so it should
that's
be.
a rowdy bunch.
Great. Those are great friends of ours.
That's going to be James Klaus, and that's going to be Eric
Yep.
Milch and Sean Stapleton, right?
Yeah, so Sean is actually going to be in the audience on this one. James will be
Oh.
on the big stage, and we'll be on the big stage for that one.
That's awesome.
I
Don't
think
forget, don't be afraid to tell
I
him.
think Sean got some new platform shoes. I think Sean got some new platform shoes.
Oh my goodness.
Probably
He-
because I'm going to wear my heels, so he can't. He doesn't want to.
Yeah. Good job.
Sean Stapleton's been waiting his whole life for the remake of Wizard of Oz.
James, I got your back, James.
And what else are you speaking about?
The other one is actually this idea of full circle, right? So how do we take the person from the digital spot and go through the digital retailing and go through the processes we're talking about now? And I'm big on this idea of process. I feel like that is the biggest failure that's happening right now, is that we're not talking enough about how it's actually going to work and just saying, here, throw it.
We should have brought Max in earlier on this one. I mean, that's Max's forte.
So, and then how do we get that all the way around full circle to the follow-up, the sales satisfaction, and now getting them into service?
Who's on that panel with you?
Service and so on and so forth. So I've got Lori Halter with me on that one. I've got Hannah Lifson and Denise Casagrande. So
That's going to be a great panel.
super fun.
Strong bunch of strong. That's a strong herd of women there. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that's going to be a great panel.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun, but I hope to bring a lot to the table because I get really passionate about stuff, and panels can be hard for me sometimes because I'm like, just talk over everything.
I'm in trouble every time.
So it's just
Oh, my
one of those
God.
things that I'm excited about our future, but I think we all just need to take a big cautionary pause and understand where we're going so that we don't fail.
Right.
And guess what? I'm speaking at Digital Dealer.
I'm so excited.
No,
I'm on the big stage too. I mean, they got me at 2:00. I didn't want the opening segment because all the people haven't arrived yet.
it's true.
But at 2:00, I think on the first day, I think I got a pretty good shot on the big stage. I've drawn a lot of friends and followers and new friends. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to talk about 20 things you need to do post-pandemic. And
Yeah, I think that's
a lot of it I've learned from you guys on the Dawg Pound. Anyway, as we wind down the last couple minutes, Jennifer, what have we not covered?
Internet sales penetration. We've not talked about that at all. Maybe that's a topic
that's
for the
another
next
show.
Yeah.
That is definitely
other
another show.
And how do you pay for your BDC? That's also something we've not talked about.
Well,
I consider them marketing expenses and have a strategy to expense it across all of the units in inventory, but I require a minimum of 50% sales penetration out of that department so that I can get my money and then we are generating profit and not an expense.
Well,
And
Tiffany says that's a huge topic.
Like the actual facts of that, right? Like how do we inspect what we expect? What is your actual strategy of doing that? That's
Well, you just said something. You don't get what you expect, you get what you inspect. I got a Zieglerism on the end of that I've taught for years. You don't get what you expect, you get what you inspect, but you got what you tolerate.
Yes.
So funny enough, before we started this, we were talking about how my picture is upside down and it looks like horns, and somebody just messaged me on it and said, "You look like you have horns," which is probably because I do. But also, horns represent strength and aggressiveness, and they're powerful and represent dignity. So I'll take it, and I will fix this next week.
Plus,
also,
it looks like a deer, and you're a Michigander.
Yeah,
so
like straight up buck, like boom. So I will tell you this too. For all of you that are asking about stuff, look, my website, Chelsea posted in here, thebeesneesagency.com. My open calendar is on my website. If you can't find a time, you are welcome to text me. And I promise not to try to sell you anything, and instead just actually give you some guidance and assistance.
Yeah.
So
You're actually going to help people for free? Quit it.
Yeah, we do it all the time.
We do it all the time. It does not have to be a sales conversation for us to help you solve an issue. Certainly, if you want it to be, that's fine. But otherwise, for a lot of you asking questions that we don't get a chance to answer on the show, we're happy to. I'm happy to. Jennifer's happy to. I'm over here volunteering April.
We're a bunch of happy people, but we're out of time.
I was going to say, I actually am a pack rat, and I have a Dropbox folder for every training and every conference session I've ever done. Mm-hmm. And I share those resources with anybody who reaches out. So the scorecard, the inspection point, or different things, if you need it, reach out. We're happy to share.
Yeah, or just you can utilize that for anything, except for Jennifer's my best friend and I don't share her, so she can't be your best friend too. So
no, we share tips and strategies. Not best friends.
There you go. There you go. So anyway, everybody say goodbye to the audience. Max, thank you. Your valuable participation today. I'll see you in New York next time, right?
You got it.
You're welcome. Take care, everybody.